What are the challenges and what are the opportunities in CPAC 2?
We should take the the upgradation and completion of the second phase very, very seriously, because if we don't, then we will not only compromise CPAC, we will compromise our development. It is a great achievement of China to bring Pakistan, Afghanistan, under one umbrella arrangement, which is a trilateral mechanism that has been established, and this extension of CPAC to Afghanistan, because they now have a stake in CPAC.
How Pakistan would assure China that Chinese projects, Chinese installations, and of course Chinese people, experts working on Chinese projects will be safe?
They are also very aware of the fact that Pakistan has tried its best and continues to try its level best to give foolproof security to the Chinese working on the various projects.
Do you think this multilateral approach emphasized time and again by the Chinese leadership is workable?
Diplomacy has, degenerated into basically bullying and exploitation, blatant demands of one power on the rest of the world.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello and welcome to Program Insight in B News English. Beijing, the Chinese capital, is now hub of all regional, bilateral, global political activities. On Monday, today, Shanghai Cooperation Organization Heads of State Summit concluded in Tianjin, which is a city close to Beijing. And SCO Summit also adopted a declaration, which is called the communique, in which number of issues were discussed. And another important aspect of that communique was it condemned Khuzdar and Jafar Express terrorist attacks that took place early this year in Pakistan. And then it also talked about current carnage and atrocities in Gaza. And from Tianjin, Prime Minister of Pakistan returned to Beijing. And today there were three important meetings, one with the Tajik president, second, Prime Minister of Pakistan's meeting with the Russian president, and then another meeting with the Chinese president. In today's conversation, we will focus on SCO, its communique, multilateralism, which has been again and again emphasized, the possible trade in local currency, but more focus will be on Prime Minister of Pakistan's meeting with the Chinese president. So to discuss this whole strategic aspects, we are fortunate to have with us Ambassador retired Naghmana Hashmi, Pakistan's former ambassador to Beijing, a very analyst which closely watches all strategic developments. Ma'am, very warm welcome to Program Insight in V News English.
Thank you very much. Thank you once again for inviting me.
So it's always a pleasure to have you in our program. I will begin this, although a lot of things have already been discussed, but we will focus on some of these latest meetings. Pakistan and China have ongoing strategic cooperation. The meeting that Prime Minister of Pakistan, Mr. Shahbaz Sharif, has with Chinese President Xi, these meetings are definitely frequently taking place, somehow on bilateral tax, somehow on the sidelines of such forums at different places. But our focus will be definitely, since Pakistan is benefiting from China through CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. I would like to have your analysis that what are the opportunities and challenges in CPEC 2 particularly, on which a lot of focus is being made, that now between Pakistan and China, CPEC 2 is the focus. So in your opinion, what are the challenges and what are the opportunities in CPEC 2?
Thank you very much. I think you have asked a very comprehensive question that basically encompasses the entire gambit of our relationship with with China. And let me clarify this for
Please.
your viewers, that the nature of Pakistan-China relationship is such that it is not possible not to have frequent high-level meetings, because both China and Pakistan consult each other on all regional and international developments in all aspects of the relationship. And particularly now, when there is a lot of turbulence in the world, when there is a lot of shift of economic, political, and strategic powers from the Atlantic to the Pacific, it is not possible that the leaders of Pakistan and China do not meet frequently. And if you look at the history of Pakistan-China relationship, you would realize that it is very common for the two heads of state, heads of government, foreign ministers to sometimes meet more than a dozen times in a year. So now, when the world is in going through a very big transformation, it is absolutely in the interest of both countries to align their policies, to see how jointly we will tackle the problems and the challenges that this turbulence is throwing, particularly for this region. Therefore, I think whether there is a huge communique that comes after them or a joint statement that usually comes, but those statements are normally done if it's a bilateral state visit or an official visit. This is a visit that is primarily for attending the SCO summit. But I'm not in the Foreign Office anymore, so I have retired. So I'm not privy to what the private conversations must have taken place in Beijing. But I am, from my experience, confident that a lot of exchange of views must have taken place, both in the delegation level meetings and the private meeting, if there was one, between President Xi and the Prime Minister. Having said that, if you look at the Foreign Office statement that they have given, the Foreign Office spokesperson has issued an official statement about this visit, and it is very clear that both the leaders and both the countries have reiterated their absolute commitment to upgrade CPAC and to finalize the second phase, so that CPAC can deliver for the people. That is the industrialization of Pakistan and making it an export hub. But more important than that is what President Xi has said, that Pakistan is an all-weather strategic cooperative partner.
That is important.
And he will stand by Pakistan for its economic development, security, sovereignty. I think these are strong statements. And the way he was greeted in Beijing, and the way in Tianjin, and the delegation that has gone with him is a very high-level delegation. So I am sure that there are meetings that would be taking place with the Chinese side. We may or may not be reported in the media, but considering how delicate the situation is at the moment, I think it was very important for the Prime Minister to meet Xi and to convey not only the gratitude of the government and the armed forces, but the entire nation for their absolutely very, very strong and open support for Pakistan during the 4-day conflict. And I think, so from that point of view, I think it was very, very important. And now coming to CPAC, as far
CPAC
as
too, exactly.
CPAC, 2.0. We call it CPAC 2, but the Chinese call it the upgraded CPAC, the high quality development of CPAC G. So, as far as that is concerned, as I have said on several channels, and I think I also mentioned it in your program, that there would have been no delay in the implementation of CPAC 2 had we done our job properly, because Pakistan's duty was to ensure that the special economic zones were ready, with the land demarcated, with all the facilities in it, all, like water, electricity, internet, gas, and of course the gray structures, so that the Chinese industry that wanted to relocate would just come and plug and play. But unfortunately, to this day, except two special economic zones, one in Faisalabad and one in Lahore, which are functional and are working well. Dhabeji, one had a lot of hope and expectation from, because it's located near Karachi and near the port. So, but it is sad to say that they, after so many years, they are now doing the tendering for giving the development contract of Dhabeji. So I think we went a little slow on that, and because of our own political and interprovincial difficulties, even Rashakai has not been able to take off. In fact, there's no electricity or gas there. So I think the idea was that by the time the infrastructure and energy projects are completed, the special economic zones would be absolutely ready, and the Chinese embassies would, inhibit them. But this didn't happen. This didn't happen. So I think it is very, very important that we complete this second phase. And they have now added 5 more corridors, which does not mean infrastructure corridors. These are basically the one which is a knowledge corridor. And we've seen how much the Chinese are now focusing on enhancing our scholarships for our students. And the largest number of scholarships that China gives to anybody now is Pakistan. And they are focusing on IT, they're focusing on technology, they're focusing on space, cooperation, agriculture, health. So there are these, 5 other corridors that have been added. And I think if we put our heads down and seriously do the coordination that is required at our end, China is ready. And I think we should take the the upgradation and completion of the second phase very, very seriously, because if we don't, then we will not only compromise CPAC, we will compromise our development. And this criticism on CPAC will continue to sort of strengthen, because infrastructure and energy has to work for the people. It has to show that people are getting employment, that you're getting hospitals, you're getting education, and Pakistan becoming the hub of production and export, not only back to China, but also to Africa, to Europe, to Central Asia, and all that. And in that, I think it is a great achievement of China to bring Pakistan, Afghanistan, under one umbrella arrangement, which is the trilateral mechanism that has been established, and this extension of CPAC to Afghanistan, because they now have a stake in CPAC. So we are hoping that will also have a very positive impact on not only Afghanistan's development, but also in bringing down terrorism, among other factors, terrorism in our country, particularly in Balochistan and KPK.
Since you have talked about this terrorism, that Pakistan is fighting very rigorously, and today there have been a major terror incident in KP city of Panu, and with the blessing of Allah Almighty, security forces have overcome that particular challenge. Almost most of the terrorists have been neutralized. Question is, whenever there have been high-level meetings between Pakistani and Chinese leadership, either at Prime Minister level or at Prime Minister and President Xi, as today meeting took place, China is always concerned about security of Chinese working in Pakistan, Chinese projects and things like that. How Pakistan would assure China that Chinese projects, Chinese installations, and of course, Chinese people, experts working on Chinese projects will be safe. So, what assurances Pakistan could give? What security cover Pakistan could provide?
Look, I'm going to be very candid about this. China is a very smart country. They don't talk that much, but they have the wisdom of centuries behind them. And so they have a very good understanding of who is behind this terrorism. And they do realize that it is not Pakistanis who are perpetrating this terrorism from here, but there's TTP, there's BLA, there are so many other organizations which are being actually supported and financed and trained by extra regional powers and some regional powers as well. And they are also very aware of the fact that Pakistan has tried its best and continues to try its level best to give foolproof security to the Chinese working on the various projects and in the various areas, even including the area of education. It was very tragic to see how the teachers were killed in Karachi 2 years ago. Exactly. So, and Pakistan has raised 2 divisions only for the protection of CPAC. So there is no doubt in the minds of the Chinese that we are doing our best. You see, it is very difficult for China also to continue to lose their people in a country which is their best friend. So naturally, their society, their media, their think tanks, they question the leadership that, we are sending love to Pakistan. We are supporting them in every possible way. How is it that nowhere in the world do the Chinese get murdered and killed, but it is only Pakistan? So naturally, it is not the China of the 50s. It's a very open society now, and people question. So naturally, it is incumbent upon the Chinese government to raise these questions, because they are, it's the only, all governments are responsible for their people, but the Chinese leadership is very particular about the safety of their people, because their entire system believes that each individual, to the last man in the smallest village, is an asset for the country. So they really, really value the lives of the Chinese. So they are, while they understand, they do raise concerns, and there is a long-standing counter-terrorism cooperation between Pakistan and China. And we have regular dialogues with them, exchange of views, and a lot of cooperation in this field. There are ongoing discussions about how this cooperation can be strengthened, and how, we could maybe use more technology and more sophisticated intelligence apparatus using Chinese technology in order to apprehend these miscreants. And at the political level also, I think China is using its influence on Afghanistan. And it is, we have read about it, we are talking about it, and this trilateral mechanism, I think, is a step in that direction, because China is not only worried about Chinese dying in Pakistan at the hands of BLA TTP, but they are also worried, very, very worried about these terrorist organizations taking deeper roots in Afghanistan because they share a border with them. And the western provinces of China are very strategically extremely important for them. They would not want this terrorism to seep through their border and get into once again into Xinjiang and the other Muslim majority provinces that China has. So there is a very strong counter-terrorism cooperation, and as you have also seen in the statement, both countries have condemned terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. And that is why, in Prime Minister's speech also, without naming India and without sort of specifying the terrorist incidents, he did say that terrorism, wherever it is perpetrated, Pakistan is against it because we have suffered terrorism. And I think that has also echoed in the SCO declaration, where they have not only mentioned our two terrorist events, but
Jafar Express and Fuzdar. Exactly.
And then also Pahalgam has also been mentioned in it without really going into any details. So I think the way I look at it with India now, not completely compromised, but in a difficult situation with the West, and now trying to enhance its traditional relationship with Russia and China is good for us. Because the Chinese and the Russians, China, of course, is a strategic partner, and the Russian President Putin is also desirous of further extending cooperation in all fields with Pakistan. That is why Putin has also invited Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif to pay a visit to Russia in November. So I think with our increasing cooperation with Russia and a very, very strong, absolutely unshakable strategic relationship with China, when India comes into the fold, both these countries will have a positive impact in trying to explain to the Indians to stop the creating trouble in the region, particularly in Pakistan. So I think a lot of positives might come out of this visit, the question you started with, but also as a result of the SCO summit.
So when we talk of Shanghai Cooperation Organization, this concept of multilateralism was much promoted. Chinese president most of the time talked about that multilateralism approach should be adopted in addressing some of the issues. So how you see in a world where there's a Western bloc, unilateralism, and keeping in view, do you think this multilateral approach emphasized time and again by the Chinese leadership is workable? Along with, he also called for a new world order, and the present world order that came into effect after Second World War is in front of you, where this order has been unable to address one of the lingering issues, core issues. There have been more conflict, things like that. So how you see two things, multilateral approach and new world order?
Look, there are very clear messages coming out of China and out of SCO. As far as multilateralism is concerned, if you look at the history of Chinese diplomacy, they have always believed in multilateralism, particularly since they joined the United Nations in 1973. And they have never, ever been a part of any of the wars led by the West. And they have always been the first to take the issues up in the UN and other international fora, and have always advised that things should be settled through dialogue, through cooperation, through multilateral engagement, through mediation, they have been advocating this for many, many years. And particularly since the advent of the unilateral world, we have seen that diplomacy has degenerated into basically bullying and exploitation and the blatant demands of one power on the rest of the world. And China has always been against that. China has always said that we believe in Panchashila, so all these states are equal, and every state has a right to, protect its national interest and sovereignty and territorial integrity, and that there should be peace and security among states. And if there are differences, they should be resolved through dialogue. So there's nothing new that's coming out of there. What is new is the strength of China. So China was saying this 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. But that voice is now gained tremendous strength because of the economic strength and the development strength of China, because of the technological and AI superiority that now China has with the rest of the world. The world now realizes that while the rest of the world, led by West, particularly Europe and America, have constantly been at war. Since the end of World War II, they have still been at war. And China has not been a part of any other war. They have put their heads down and they have strengthened themselves. And I really strongly believe that this SCO summit, which was attended by 20 heads of state, which was the largest gathering of SCO member states in Tianjin, and it basically represents 50% of the world population and almost 40% of the GDP. The world had to stop and see what was happening. And the message is very strong that there is a very potent sort of model that is emerging from the Eurasian landmass, which is represented by SCO, with China, with Iran, with Russia, with India, with Pakistan, with Turkey, all sitting at the same table. And with the Central Asian states also sitting on the same table. There are 5 nuclear powers in the SCO. There's China, there's Russia, there's India, there's Pakistan. Then, of course, there's North Korea. So it's a very strong platform. And with Russia's resurgence and now India returning to the fold of SCO, it becomes a very formidable platform. And this summit was all about telling the world that we are ready to take off and that the SCO has come of age. It is ready to spread its wings and take the responsibility for a multilateral world based on principles, based on multilateralism, based on win-win cooperation, based on the concepts of global development initiative, global security initiative, and global civilizational initiative, what the Chinese say, a shared future for mankind. And that this bloc has extremely important economic power behind it, because the US is share in world production is only 16%. So it's really far behind what's happening in the SCO states, China being, of course, the largest, 39% or whatever. So there's a very strong message going. that we want a peaceful world, a multilateral world, which can stand on its own 2 feet without the bullying of either the imperial Europe that had colonized all of the world, and that has now, the sun has set on the kingdom of the UK and the Europeans, and they just become client states of America. But that we are not going to stand to the bullying of Trump, and that we have the economic strength and the economic capability of not only absorbing the shock of Trump's absolute ridiculous tariffs, but we also have the capacity to strike back, and we can do where America really will have no influence. And we don't really need to go through America or through, the system of SWIFT. So basically, de-dollarization. And so I think at this moment, after this summit, the most perturbed person in the world would obviously be Mr. Trump, whose, internal sort of difficulties are increasing as well. And international difficulties are also increasing because all his policies are backfiring. And here I would like to, quote Jeffrey Sachs, who, in a recent interview, quoted Henry Kissinger. He said that, once Henry Kissinger said that it is, if America is your enemy, it is dangerous. But if America is your friend, it's fatal. So we need
it's fatal.
We need, it's just a quote from there. Just recently he said that. So, and he was also quoting the American great. So we have to see, in our lifetime, we have seen this transformation happening. You are young, but when we were going to school and college, we grew up listening to this phrase that it is going to be the century of Asia, and that the political and economic power will shift from the Atlantic to the Pacific. Little did we imagine that in our own lifetime, we would be able to see this. We would be able to see the rise of China that Napoleon had predicted 300 years ago, saying, let the giants sleep, for if it rises, the earth will shake. And the world is shaking. It's changing. And I'm very fond of quoting Allama Iqbal, also in 1933-36. In his poems, he had very clearly indicated to the youth of the subcontinent to wake up and realize how the sun is rising from the east. Now, the sun that is rising from the east was the sun, not the physical phenomena, but the rise of China. And we have seen that happening. And so I think this particular summit is a big turning point, not only for SCO, but also for the future orientation of the world order.
Indeed, it's a turning point, and for the future orientation of the world order, very, very important take from this conversation. And because of the participation by, as you said, some of the most important leaders representing large countries, 5 nuclear powers and whatnot. Thank you so much, Ambassador retired Naghmana Hashmi, for strategically analyzing the recent SCO summit in Tianjin in China, its declaration, and then on the sidelines, the meeting between Pakistani and Russian leader, Chinese leader, and what could be its impact on regional cooperation on bilateral track, including you talked about CPAC 2 and its challenges. Dear viewers, till our next program, goodbye and Khuda Hafiz.